Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about the WGA strikes and an update on the Bill Maher situation. Apparently, Bill Maher backpedals. Bill Maher is backpedaling on his decision to go ahead with the show. He was getting lots of flack for it. And just like Drew Barrymore before him, he buckled. He buckled. Wait, you show them, Bill.
Yeah.
You show them. But to be honest, like we were talking before we started recording, I'm sure he had some concerned trolls come to him and say, it'd be a real shame, Bill. It'd be a real shame if you couldn't get guests on your show. It'd be a real shame if you're not invited to Hollywood parties. It'd be a real shame if your writers didn't want to come back and work for you.
Well, what's going to happen here is going to be this. They're going to get what they want, even if they don't deserve it, and then we're going to get a lot more shitty shows.
That is exactly what's going to happen. If they do buckle and give the writers what they want.
On the writer's room.
In the writer's room.
I completely already agree with them.
Yeah, that's fine. Residuals, fine. Better accounting for streaming, yeah, that's fine. Making sure that they can't just steal your identity and create digital versions of you with AI, that's completely fine.
Well, the writers would be like write stuff without them.
Right.
Completely fine.
Yeah.
But the writer's room ask was what was absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
And what's going to happen is we're going to get more shitty shows.
Yeah, because they're going to have 20 people on a show that don't need to be on the show, or we're going to have a lot fewer shows.
They're going to be emboldened. Well, I can do what I want now. I can even go further because they need me here.
Yeah, they're not going to get rid of me. They wouldn't dare. They wouldn't want another strike.
They can another strike, but they'll scream. They'll scream and they'll be like, they'll buckle because they're screaming.
So I have to wonder, though, if the studios aren't like, okay, let's give them what they want for now, but we're not going to do this again. So
it doesn't matter if they're going to get it for years anyway.
Yeah.
Or they're going to cut the number of shows down and they're going to do.
That is what I think is probably going to happen. So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. If you do, you'll get a woohoo.
Woohoo.
So before we get into him leaving, just to put out there that everybody's like, Bill Maher deserves harsher pushback than Drew Barrymore. This is on Bleeding Cool.
Why?
Because he said that the writers were daffy and a lot of them were worthless on his podcast.
But he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. But he was like, yeah, it's not.
Of course, that's not all of them. There's
not
a lot of
all of them.
I want to make that clear. There's a lot of really, really good people who deserve to be there. Unfortunately, I don't think that's the majority.
No, I don't think that's the majority either. I think that there were a lot of people hired during the streaming boom that probably shouldn't be there. They haven't worked their way up. And Bill Maher's old school. He's like, yeah, I remember you used to bust tables until you get a gig, and then you get another gig, and then you prove your value to the studio, and then they would give you more work. Versus now where it's like, yeah, I just graduated from college, and I'm going to be a showrunner.
Yeah, and they're going to let me because I have like 20 different identity pins.
Check boxes.
And yeah.
You know?
So, obviously I am the voice of America.
And if you say anything about it,
that's it.
You're canceled. I'm going to find out.
I'm going to make sure I'm going to go complain to you. People get you fired because you're just a
fired.
Bigot. And it's like, and then meanwhile, we get shitty shows with too many writers, too many cooks in the kitchen. They're just crap. There's so much garbage. And now that they've cut down a lot of shows, that's great. So they're going to have a bunch of writers who are going to be mandated to be in the writer's room, for fewer shows, which are going to ruin those shows too.
Yeah. Yeah, so good luck with that, but we'll see what happens. I mean, they're supposed to settle this thing hopefully this week, and
I sure hope so. And not for the entitled people, but for the people that are getting caught up in it that didn't have anything in it, or the ones that wanted them to settle it sooner, but then weren't the leadership people who were like dragging it out.
So they're talking about how over the weekend, after intense pressure, Drew Barrymore and The Talk, I guess, reverse course, and Jennifer Hudson.
What about The View?
Course. The View's still going.
No one's even calling them out.
Nobody's calling The View out. That's what blows my mind. Like, everybody else is getting canceled over this. And Bill Maher, look, he says some things that certain people don't like, right?
I don't always like everything Bill Maher says. I mean, I don't like everything anybody says all the time. Even you.
Oh, you better.
I can guarantee you that. I don't like everything he says. Trust me.
I'm going to cancel you. You have to love everything I say and hang off my every word.
Okay, I'm going to cancel you too.
Okay, well, we'll just
the couch.
Cancel each other. Get on the couch, bitch.
Canceling. That's what we're calling it now. We're just canceling each other. Anyway.
Canceling each other. Anyway, yeah. So this is kind of a weird. I'm actually surprised he did this because he seems so hard in the paint against it. But here's his statement.
It might have been him. It might have been he was told he had to.
That's what I'm
by
wondering.
HBO.
That's what I'm wondering. Well, here, and then somebody brought this up too, and this is probably what happened.
I agree.
My decision to return to work was made when it seemed nothing was happening and there was no end in sight to the strike. Now, he said that his reason to continue was there were below-the-line people that needed work. Now that both sides have agreed to go back to the negotiating table, I'm going to delay the return of real time for now and hope they can finally get this done.
Here's the thing, though. If they honestly think that this week they're going to come to a conclusion, then delaying it for a week isn't going to hurt anything. And then you could be like, well, delay it so that, we get else worked out and then we can move forward. That, you know what I mean? That wouldn't be such a big deal.
Right.
They must think that there's some kind of resolution coming for sure, or I don't think they maybe would.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I think everybody's getting really tired of it. And it's like, okay, let's just get the damn thing done. But, it was pretty bad when you had some showrunners that were like, hey, WGA, that last deal was actually pretty good and you turned it down and now we're out of work for another month. What the hell is going on here? Kim from Canada says, I don't understand why you need writers in the first place. I thought you wrote your own material. Chuds of TikTok, not a blue check. So basically, you couldn't find celebrities willing to break strike to be on your show.
Probably.
That's probably a big part of it.
I think that, and I think the fact that they honestly think that resolution's coming this week, then what does it hurt to wait another week just to save face? You know what I mean?
Right. I couldn't get any guess. There's always been one side willing to negotiate the workers.
No, see, that's not true.
In this case, I do not believe that is the case.
I don't agree with that in this case. I really, truly don't.
So yeah, lots of people dogpiling. They're right. I'm glad you made the right choice in the end. I'm glad you did. It'd be a real shame.
This just sounds like a bunch of bullies. Is what it sounds like. But I mean, not that the studios aren't bullies. I 100% agree the studios are likely bullies themselves. I'm not saying that's not the case. I'm just saying, I think, this is like what happens is like they don't get their way, so they start, screaming and trying to cause trouble to get their way. And then when they get their way, it's just going to make it awful shit for everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just like, lots of people like, you should leave forever, Bill. You're just an alt-right Nazi. You're a dick, Bill.
Well, he can be. So
he can be.
That's always a bad thing. Sometimes it's just funny because it's like old school funny.
Yeah.
I miss old school funny.
Yeah, he is old school. That's the thing. He is from a different generation, much older than we are. But, I share some of his sentiments because I remember when I thought that liberals were, liberal.
Mm-hmm. Now it's a censorship.
I thought that was the whole point, was like we were against the censorship and we were for free speech and we were for people being able to do whatever they wanted to do with their bodies or with their mouths or whatever. Well,
wait,
you know what I'm saying?
I mean,
like that's what I thought it was all about. And we've learned in recent years that is no longer the case. Anyway, so we've got this story out there from the LA Times. Thanks to Drew Barrymore, the striking writers are in their most powerful position yet. So because
not really, because they didn't do anything except bully her.
They bullied her. They bullied her and Bill Maher.
They didn't prove their worth. They just bullied her and had her peers bully her until she gave them what they wanted. That isn't the same thing as proving that you had a point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like, actually, if anything, I would look at this. If I were a producer, if I were a studio, I would look at this and take notes. Who was dogpiling her? But they said last week the WGA was threatening her, and now this week they should be sending her flowers and some very nice fruit baskets. In 7 days, Barrymore highlighted the new rules and high stakes of this year's writers' strike.
Not really. She just said she was going to get back to work because she wasn't violating anything. She didn't highlight anything. They highlighted the fact that they're bullies by, harassing people until they gave them what they wanted.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she basically did what they did back in 2007, 2008. The shows went on the air, but they didn't have writers, and they're like, yeah, it's not as good as it was. But now they're like, no, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. Hollywood stops when we say it stops, guys. That's it. Like I said, they might look, I think what's going to happen, I'm being realistic. I'm not saying boo about it, whatever. What I think is going to happen from a business perspective is they might get what they want. It might be a short-term victory, and then the studios will go to work, get to work, working out other plans. Like, okay, we'll appease them for now because we need content for now, but let's work on plan B.
Well, what is plan B, though? Because you can't do anything outside.
Plan B is non-union work.
But you're not allowed to. they made sure they have it locked down that you're not allowed to work if you're not in the union.
They will make it law. They
Because
will
I'm just saying,
outsource more
that's what they
shows.
did. You can only use their people, but you have to give
Right.
people everything they want, or you're, or
Yeah.
it won't work. And I'm like, that is a very flawed system.
Yeah, and I think they're going to look at this like, yeah, we're not going to do this again. So we're going to set up shop in other countries. We're going to outsource stuff. We're going to let independent studios make content and then just sell it to us so we don't have to deal with the unions. And they're already doing it. Look, Netflix is already doing it. Is it Netflix is bringing back Totally Spies, I think, but they're using non-union
Yeah,
voice
they have that
actors.
before, but the voice actor thing isn't exactly as locked down as
No,
this
it's
other
not.
stuff is.
But I could see more studios being like, yeah, let's use more non-union labor because it's such a pain in the ass, and we were over relying on them, and we're not gonna do that again because look what happened. You know, they're gonna learn from it. I'm telling you, you're basically buying time.
Well, what's going to happen in the end is when the studios have no fucking money and they have to shut everything down because they didn't create anything, and then none of you have jobs.
Then nobody has work.
Then we'll talk, because they even try to get stuff back. And I still love the double standard where some things can go back, continue. I'm sure those independent studios, they had to have writers too, right? Were writers working on those things?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like how come there's like a double standard? Who gets how come The View is a double standard compared to everybody else? How come these other projects get to continue, but these ones have to be locked down? You're not allowed to even go back to work and help your people because you're not allowed to, because these people are mad about it. And then they're saying, oh, we're going to win. I just want it wrapped up. I mean, I'm hoping it wraps up this week because I'm so fucking tired of the whole thing. But I know what's going to happen is if they agree to give them more people, then we're just going to get a bunch of shit. And short of canceling all kinds of shows and not making hardly any and only hiring the ones you really, really want, writers, we're going to be stuck with a bunch of crap that nobody wants.
Yeah, well, that's,
And we're not going to get new stuff either because people are too afraid to hire them for fear what we're going to get with it and the way the writers behave.
I still think this whole thing was the studio's way of saving money. I think they knew this was going to happen because they got threats before it happened. They're like, fine, go ahead and strike and we just won't pay anybody for like 6 months. You know, we save a lot of money. We can cancel some shows. We really don't need more content because we have a bunch of shit on our streaming platforms that nobody is watching anyway. They're watching reruns of Friends. So, whatever.
Disney's taking putting Friday Night Football on ESPN or Monday Night Football. One of the footballs on Monday.
One of the footballs.
Are we going to put it on
Monday
ESPN
night,
and is it Monday night? Whatever.
Yeah.
ESPN and ABC because they don't have shows, so they're like, fine, we have other stuff.
Yeah, reality TV. They'll just run reruns of stuff. You know, I mean, it's like I said, it's like they're going to find ways around it. And more and more people are watching older content. There's talking about millennials now watching reruns of like MASH on linear TV and stuff, you know, just because there's so much subpar stuff out there. But I digress. They said this actually isn't a glowing. They said that Drew Barrymore and Bill Maher are going to be used as weapons by the WGA. But this is coming from the LA Times. And they said that Barrymore, this is a problem. They said the sight of Drew Barrymore, long beloved and oft forgotten, being immediately and irrefutably damned for suggesting she could and should produce her show without writers sent a chill throughout the industry. So they're like the sight of Barrymore, long beloved and oft forgotten, being immediately and irrefutably damned for suggesting she could and should produce her show without writers sent a chill throughout the industry. That is not a good look for the writers. I mean, they may use her and Bill Maher as weapons like they're suggesting here, but the fact that you took somebody that a lot of people like, that has kind of a cuddly persona right now, regardless of what you think of Drew Barrymore, whatever, a lot of people like her. They get the warm fuzzies from her show, whatever. And you took her, you bullied her, you know, and you might win in the short term, but people are going to remember in the back of their minds, like, you bullied Drew Barrymore off the air.
And the thing is about this, too, is what people are seeing is these people were getting their shows back on because they were trying, you know, that one, they're contractually obligated. They were contractually obligated to do so. And they could lose their show, which would lose a lot of people's jobs. Plus, they were trying to help people who aren't on strike so they don't lose their stuff. And then they got bullied to the place they shut it down again. So people who need help aren't getting help once again. I mean, it's not actually going to work to your, I mean, you might win this, but like PR, your public face might not be as like, you know, lovable as you think it's going to be. People might be like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're like, well, just so you know, they can't do what they did in 2008. Conan O'Brien, Stephen Colbert, and others, you know, they went on the air without writers, but they're like, they should have known this going in. They need to end this. They're like, Barrymore and Maher got shut down in days. They got shut down in days.
Because we won, because we bullied, and what? So you could get more $11,000 to $14,000 a week, and a whole bunch of you who don't need to be there can get paid that too.
Pretty much.
I mean, you think people are going to be like, yeah, hot damn, you deserve that?
They said writers appear more united, resolved, and with the aid of social media, toxic. No, ready to call out anyone they feel is trying to weaken their position immediately and loudly. Now they're like, what's next? The View.
Well, yeah. Notice that The View and both Dancing with the Stars are both Disney owned.
Yes, they are. So that's what's so funny, because The View has been a bastion of progressive politics for decades. It's been on what, like 25 years or some crazy amount of crap, like since the 90s. And I think it's very, very ironic, very, very funny that Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg are not kowtowing to the writers.
They're not getting canceled either.
They're not getting canceled for it either. I think they probably will eventually. Either that or Disney's going to try to get this put to bed as soon as possible.
Well, they're trying to get the target this because they're saying, well, the viewership of the Drew Barrymore show and Jennifer Hudson show and The Talk and Real Time with Bill Maher may not be enough to pose a financial threat. But the viewership of The View and Dancing with the Stars is basically go after them now, is what they're basically telling them.
Yes. So they're kind of like, yeah, it's a bad look, but it's basically what I'm getting from this article is that the ends justify the means. It doesn't matter who you throw under the wheels of the bus to get what you want.
Yes. So you're right. How many times does this have to happen before the amp tip realizes that the only way out is to negotiate in good faith on all the points? Not just wages, but writers' room residuals and transparency and streaming. But they offered you all that, except for the writers' room. They already offered all of that.
They did. They said.
Where is it not good faith? Negotiation in good faith is a two-way street. Negotiation in good faith doesn't mean you get everything you fucking want 100%. That's not what negotiation is. That's like terroristic threats. Negotiations where you actually work together come to a mutually agreed upon and, that it benefits both sides to do it. That's what negotiation means. You got literally everything you asked for but one thing. And they're like, they're not in good faith negotiating. No, I would argue if that offer was true, it was the other way around.
Yeah. So it's so weird. It's so weird that they start like, basically they're saying it was a real shame that Drew had to get bullied. Fuck that Bill Maher guy, but it's a real shame she had to get bullied, but it's justified because,
Well, what's going to happen? They're talking about the United Auto Workers and all that and stuff. What's going to happen is
foreign cars.
You win. Okay, you win, right? You win. UPS wins. What happens is all the prices go up.
Yep.
And all the consumers have to pay more. The thing is, people are already down several $1,000s a year over inflation and the increasing of rates. And I'm not saying people don't deserve to get paid more. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's a double-edged sword. You get what you want, but unfortunately, it makes life harder for everybody else.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that way, but sadly it is. It shouldn't be. But here we are. I mean, I'm not really sure where they get you, let's say, raise prices on streaming and stuff. That's probably what they'll do. Raise prices again on all that.
I think I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I think the long term, since the streaming was already on the decline, since studio revenue was already on the decline, I think the long term is there's going to be less work. You might get paid more for those of you who are left, who are working, but I think just supply and demand, I think the people that, even though they're getting a good deal, there just aren't going to be jobs for them. And if they're like, well, we have to have 20 writers in a writer's room, we're going to put it on a show that we know performs like Stranger Things.
And then we're going to keep like 5 shows and get rid of 20, so you're still out the door anyway.
Right.
Where if you negotiated and took like the 2 or 3 people per writer's room, they might have kept 20 shows and you would have had more people employed overall.
Yeah.
Probably, because I don't want to tell you, because basically from where everybody else is looking at this, and I've noticed that the support has not been there as much as it was like 2 months ago. I think people are seeing this and they're seeing, what you guys got offered a good, fair thing and you turned it down.
We are in the comments and via email, and we're getting a lot of comments from below the line workers that are furious because they're like, yeah, we were with them at the beginning, but it's going on 5 months and we get nothing out of this.
And then other people are saying, that's not true. They all are on our side. We all agree to work together.
They're not. They are not. They're looking at
some of them might be, but not
some
everybody.
Of them might be. I'm not going to speak for everybody. Some of them might be, but we have heard from people that are like, I'm out of work. Congratulations, you guys get your $10,000 to $14,000 a week or whatever. But like, I don't even make that in a month. and I've been out of work for 5 months, and I'm going to lose my house. But good on you for, holding
Thanks
your
for
ground.
bullying the shows away so I have no job.
Yeah,
Appreciate
pretty much. So we're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.